Alright, what is up everyone? Definitely not my first video ever made. I'm gonna be doing a guide on how to make money in Bannerlord. So there's been a lot of talk, but I haven't really seen a good, I say keyword here, good video on it. But there is a lot of problems with how Bannerlord is right now, especially in the realm of trying to earn denars. I know there's a lot of other people that will say like just keep looting, just fight, or use the caravan system, or use the workshop system, but all of those are relatively flawed ways of getting cash, or at least flawed compared to what we'll be doing today. So the biggest thing that we're going to talk about is, given the recent patches of 1.5 and 1.5.1, workshops and caravans don't really make a dent in terms of getting you money once you start owning things like fiefdoms, castles of the like, and towns. The character creation, this really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, so I'll be using Kuzais to speed things up. This doesn't matter. The stat that you want to be looking forward to when you make a new, and this is only if you haven't started playing yet and you wanna, or maybe you're trying to start a new campaign and you want it to be less aggravating for you. Go for endurance perks. The specific focus point on smithing doesn't necessarily matter, and you'll see why in a bit. So let's see, this one increases endurance. Let's go for attention to detail. Actually, I'll go with this one. Increases endurance point while also giving me medicine. I'll take this along with getting another endurance perk, and then let's get this. When you're making a character, this is just a tip, this has nothing to do with the guide, but try going for specifically endurance, social intelligence. In the description of the video I'll be putting a link to a website that gives this really neat offering of showing what perks are currently working in the game, because some of them don't work, primarily because they haven't implemented all of them yet. So all the cunning perks, all the cunning skills, roguery, tactics, and scouting, well, they do their primary thing. So for scouting, increasing your viewing distance on the map, world map, tactics, when you auto-resolve, and roguery for trying to get into cities that you're not allowed to get into. The other perks that you pick later on, they will not work. Meanwhile, for like medicine, most of those perks work. Steward has none that work. Most of the bow perks really don't work, but most vigor stats, most endurance, most social stats work. This doesn't matter. This also doesn't matter, but I'm just gonna put these. Let's have that increased for now. In this guide, I will be primarily pointing out how to start making money from the get-go using the smithing method that I'll be showing, and also going into depth just a little bit on what to look out for, so in terms of what you should be smithing. So the very first thing you want to do is getting to a big city, getting some recruits, and specifically looking for a specific knife called a Pugio. I guess getting one of these wouldn't be bad to increase my carrying capacity. Actually, just one will be good. And we're gonna be moving northeast for two things. One reason being that there is a clump of towns that are really useful, known as Temhem and Cerritos. They're gonna always be hard-coded to have hardwood and iron ore, respectively, and those two are gonna be very good to start off this run. Gonna speed this up real quick. And before we continue, I'm actually going to show off right now the kinds of weapons, specifically what kinds of blades that you'll be looking for before we actually get into the run. So this is one of my finished runs. I just wanted to show and go over what specific items you're going to be looking for in the forge that will end up giving you really big edges in terms of getting that high price point sooner and later. First off are two-handed swords. One-handed swords are really capped by the fact that they're just smaller. Even if you try and increase it, your max cut damage I think is around maybe less than 100. Even with everything you could do. Like see here, the pointed falchion blade and the star falchion blade have ridiculously high swing cut damages. But as I go over the items like the guards, let's see, to increase that damage. Oh, and for big tip, mostly for swords, the bigger the grip, or the bigger of anything really, the more damage it'll cause. Meanwhile, for pole arms, it will be the inverse. Javelins are the same as swords, where if you increase the size, they will also increase in price, or in damage. So even then, it maxes out at 94, but if I do a two-hander, if I do something like the pointed falchion blade, 147. I don't even have to alter anything else, and it's kind of already at a crazy price point. So if I make this for grip, you're looking for these two high grips. Although at that point you're really just dealing with the 10 plus or 10 negative. And lastly, pommels. T1 pommels, at least the wooden pommel, glow pommel, ring pommel, simple northern pommel, faceted, and chalice. And then when you go lower, the Highland round and the Fiend's pommel, also like look at that, that's 97, 70 damage now. If I sell this thing, let's name it so I can identify it in the thing. So I'm gonna call it A, and let's show two-handed pole arms. When you're making out these, the three heads that you're looking for are fine steel Falk's blade, the bent razor head, which also has a high cut damage, and the most interesting, the glaive. Now when you see the damage, it'll be really low, but that's because this one has an interesting attribute in that it synergizes with one very special shaft, and that's the mahogany long spear shaft. As you can tell, it's at 191, which is the highest that you'll really ever see off of any weapon. What you put on as a guard and what you put on as a pommel really does not matter here. As you can tell, this has no effect on it, and some guards have somewhat of an effect. It's really just because it increases the length of it, but yeah, so let's forge that real quick. I'll make it easier for myself to see it. And last but not least, and this is the biggest joke of the whole game, and that's jabs. If you notice with the other two items, when you're making them, they cost a lot of steel to some degree. Like long glaives are too fine steel, and two-handed swords, the good variety at least, they cost 2 steel. I mean, actually, these cost these cost 3 raw iron, and this one costs 4 iron, which is not bad, not bad. But javelins, oh javelins. So if you make one like this, it's already got really high missile damage, as well as this head, I believe. Yeah. But the all-star of it all is this last T5 head that has a whopping 121 damage for the cost of 2 fine steel. can increase the size of it to increase the damage to 124. Then have guards that don't really matter in the long scheme of things other than increasing reach. And getting the last shaft. Although, again, it really doesn't matter in the long... It doesn't really matter. God, I'm totally not cutting that out. And as you keep increasing the length of it, it's going to be at 141. And so let's craft this thing. And let's see what the prices stand for all three of these. Now keep in mind this is the end game, and I'm using characters, and the game has really low trade penalties at this point. But even with that in mind, let's see. So the first two things I crafted, so this 168 cut damage sword actually only comes out to be 40,000, which is actually less than what's coming up, and I will have a full playthrough of me going over me starting from the beginning and showing you how I started out, or how you can start out playing. The next is using something like the 2-pike, and this gives me 122,000, and then the javelin, which had the cheapest cost out of the three, and it's at 122,000, which it looks like to be the max that I can sell something at the given moment. Again, this is strictly stuck upon my trade penalty, so it does max out at a certain point. So at 140 for those, but this one's at a 168 cut. This may have something to do with the specific items used or where it can be used as an item, but it's a bit debatable how they determine prices for certain things. All we really know for sure is that the damage of the item is the primary factor in driving the cost, or the value of it to sell. So if I put these in, I would get nothing out of it because they have less than. All we have to do to offset that is just to take everything they own, like this. Let's see, what's their most expensive stuff? I'll take, and as you can tell, I've already sold them javelins in the past, and they skyrocketed in price if you want to get them back. Let's take this stuff. Awesome, 64,000, and since I'm a person who likes perfection, gonna sell a couple more things, and let's actually get back to the run now so that we can figure out how to implement this stuff into our new game. Wow, this is extremely unlucky, but this won't deter us if I just play my game correctly. Actually, okay, yeah, they're not gonna stop that. We're gonna stay away from combat to start this. It's a chance whether or not you'll make it through them. If you're a good fighter and you trust in yourself, by all means, don't be as such a pansy as me and do whatever your heart's content. Alright, so we're gonna be looking for two specific items: Pugios and wide leaf spears, which I don't really see any for this place, but that's fine. I'm gonna get two of these guys. Then I shall get. Let's get a hatchet. Yeah, that'll be good. And let's get to smelting. So, as you notice, each of those Pugios gave 1 fine steel, 1 iron, and 2 raw iron. This is a unique item in the game where it gives more than 2 steel types. That's not really something you'll find often, and Pugyus are really cheap for what they value. In fact, if I were to sell back these materials exactly what I was given, you would be getting at least 200 plus another 100 of profit from those Pugyos that I just purchased. I am going to split this too, and then here are the 3 categories of things that you'll be looking forward through in the way that we're going to be sort of exploiting the game. It's going to be two-handed swords, two-handed polearms or pikes, and javelins. And javelin's going to be the big boy when we start analyzing things a little bit closely. So for now, I'm going to use a simple war sword blade, and after a couple of runs I've noticed that this is really the only one that you get off of two-handed. If you get a different one, that's fine, but just max this out until you see this cut damage increase. If it decreases when you go up, then go back to an amount that has it at its highest. Like the other things, increase them and decrease them for this value. And sweet. So, thing is, I can't forge it just yet because I need another crude iron. How am I going to get crude iron? Well, just simply buy up an item that might have it, of course. And that's not a valid thing for me to do because... Oh, wait, I can just do this. Okay. Let's forge this sword really quickly. You'll notice that the difficulty of it is significantly higher than what my current skill is. Doesn't matter, and actually that's really good, and you're about to see why. Cool, so I make this. It's not going to be perfect. There are going to be a lot of negatives, but you also get a lot more smithing parts that we'll be using later. Let's trade this out, and wow, it's 100, I mean, it's 1,000 gold, basically. And I've made more back than what I put in at the start of the game. And I can buy these 2 things. Then let's go back into the there we go. Enter smithy again. Gotta rest, so gonna move around a bit. My game is slightly modded, so you may realize that you're out of stamina before I am. That's because I have 400 stamina to start with, but you're probably gonna only have 100, meaning you can only do 1 action, which is still a lot. Just whenever that's happened, you can either wait in town or just run around for a bit. Let's, there we go. There's no hardwood in this city, so I'm gonna have to go out and get that real quick. Wow, this is unique. Okay, so I'm unable to actually get what I need from the 2 towns that I'm normally reliant on in these runs. Okay, there's hardwood here though, so that's okay. Let's see, no new blades, that's fine. Let's see where the blades actually went. Alright. So I didn't get any new good blades or pieces. That's fine. And while we're at it, we may as well experiment a little bit on seeing other things that we can make that might be good. Alright, nothing, so let's make this again. Sweet, I get a level, and I get 6 skill points just for smithing twice from there. I'm gonna throw those back into smithing so that I can get related perks that will help you get you materials that you may be missing, or you can get stuff like the Curious Smelter stuff so you can get more parts quicker. Then let's smith again. Oh wait, actually no, let's trade that sword off. And it's already increased in value because I didn't lose as many points off of it this time around. Let's take these. Take it the hardwood. This will not matter. If you go over, it's fine. Every time you start a run, you'll normally have a different route of what is unlocked. You can't really specify what you want to get. When you start up a campaign, there is a sort of, it's kind of like a calculator where they already have the RNG preset before you start finding things. So post-related note, you can sort of gauge what you're gonna get next. It really just depends on the items you end up buying later on. So for example, if you get a broad arming sword or you get a saber, the specific items that you smelt, you will unlock those specific items depending on the blade primarily, but you can also get the grips related, or the guards related, or even the shafts related, for example for pikes and jabs. It's all entirely dependent on you purchasing a diverse amount of things to smelt later on. Like I said before, we're going to be primarily looking at the damage of the item. This is what increases or decreases the price. I've actually been getting rather unlucky this run because I haven't been getting a lot of the good stuff that would dramatically increase the damage amount. But that's fine, as I'm still crafting 1000 denar blades that will give back a rather good income. Right now I'm looking for places that may offer iron ore, but really I'm just looking for towns that have Pugios specifically. That'll give me the specific ingots necessary to keep making swords and the like. I could buy up other things, but they're really not as good as Pugios. I also see wide leaf spears. I'll also be picking those up as well. Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. In a matter of around 20 so minutes, I can already get a large sum of money. Let me just match up. Okay, 48,000, 43, 35,000 back. Wow. And I can get myself some decent stuff to melt down. Wow. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. $57,000. Wow. Wow. What a ridiculous increase. Let's find a place to sell this. They're reselling this back to me at 3 times the value that I sold it to them, and that's primarily because of the trade penalty. If you are really heavily invested in doing this method or a trade route in general, I suggest going Aserai strictly because they remove 10% trade penalty even to things that you smithed. Wow, the items here are actually terrible. Dear God. Okay, let's see if there's actually... So there are going to be certain heroes that are known as the Smiths. You want to be looking out for those because those can actually help you pretty well. Okay, let's take these guys out really quick. Alright, I think that's it. Yeah. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Leave a like, share it with other people that you happen to know play Bannerlord, which I know you don't unless they're your online friends, but with that out of the way, if you have any other questions, put them in the comments. Take care and see ya.